What do tariffs mean for a U.S. economy and business owners and investors? Instagram launches a edits app that I've played with. And how can you stay innovative and grind as an entrepreneur? Enjoy.
Stay alive. Go and play outside. I can't be cool forever, but I can stay alive. Jesus was a carpenter, my daddy sold TVs. My mom watched other people's kids and anticipated needs. And when we go down to get groceries, I would flip through magazines and I wish that I
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. You might remember me from such businesses as 3T, Warrior Academy, Age of Radio, Q Financial, Freedom Insurance, Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, to name a few. I'm super excited to go over some amazing updates in our businesses here in today's episode. Super exciting news from Merlin. But before we do that, if you are new to this show, this is all about my business adventures and side quests that I have as I meet new business owners, interview business owners, as I build businesses, as I eventually run for politics. You can get all of that information right here. So make sure that you like and subscribe. You can also join my channel, my broadcast channel on Instagram at Age of Jeremy. You can follow me on social media at Age of Jeremy as well. But inside of that broadcast channel, I'm working to add in other insights, like a special place for all the people that want to know everything that I'm doing to build wealth. Exactly my blueprint. But and most of that blueprint's the same or similar to 3T Warrior Academy, but I do enjoy stocks and I am innovating in some other stuff as well that I'm going to share with you as well. But that being said, if you are part of the 3T Warrior Academy, if you're not, go to 3twarrioracademy.com to check it out. Our X Royalty virtual conference, which is only to our NFT holders, is going to be June 6th. If you don't know what I'm talking about, again, go to xroyalty.io or 3twarrioracademy.com to check that out as well. The biggest news that I have for this week, as far as the businesses go, is I'm super excited to announce that Merlin, our smartest way to track your crypto, is an actual app on Android. And now we're super excited for that. It's been a web app out for about 2 years almost. It'll be 2 years in September. Right now, again, up until last week, you could only get it as a web app, which you could kind of use as on your phone as an app, right? You had to go through the browser for it. But we made it where you can now go to the Android store and you can download it. Merlin allows you to connect all of your coins in one place. You can get a full picture of your entire portfolio, no matter where it is for the most part, whether it's on Bitcoin or BitTrue, and you have XRP on Kraken, and you have XRP on KuCoin, and you have, say, XRP on Coinbase. You can now see it in one place. And sometimes, and a lot of people, they have tons of coins and they have them all over the place. So what we do is we make it simple for you. See it in one place, see what your average cost was, see how much gains you have, daily total gains, and you're able to set exit targets in there so that you can take profits on the way up, so that you don't become someone else's liquidity. And if you're new to what that means, essentially what that means is what investors do, or what people tend to do inside of the investment space, is they tend to pump things. They get that pump to where they know that it's going to be at the top, right? And as it gets closer to the top, they start pulling it. The retail investor, the average person, maybe you that's listening to this, you aren't tracking it the same way. You're not privy to, say, all the information, or you don't have time to see all that information. So what ends up happening is, as you see that, you probably need to sell it, it's probably too late by that time, or there's not enough liquidity in the marketplace. Maybe you can't get your coins off of the exchange, and it all kind of tumbles down. And so essentially, you want to make sure that you're pulling on the way up. So you set exit targets, and when it reaches certain targets, you go and sell a certain percentage. And Merlin helps make that easy for you. The other thing that Merlin does is it allows you to see your news of all your coins, so you can be, kind of have quick access to what's going on in those markets. And all of that information is in the app on the Google Play Store when you download it. So if you have Android, go and download it. Yes, there is a monthly fee for it. You get 30 days free trial. After the 30 days, if you download it, you're gonna have to go to the website to put in your credit card information. But you know what? It's going to be worth it, because you are going to see everything all in one place. It's going to have it's going to be secured for you because we don't hold your keys. And when you connect them, the company that we connect through has great encryption and security for those APIs that connect to those exchanges. And you are going to be able to set those exit targets and make some money on the way up. And then what you can do is you can take that money and you can invest in something like Index Universal Life Insurance that protects your wealth for a long time. So again, we do all of that. And one of the best places to be is inside of my broadcast channel, or to be a part of the 3D Warrior Academy and be part of the 3D Warrior Academy. Because obviously there's all kinds of different stuff that we do in the 3D Academy that I don't talk about in my broadcast channel, obviously. But I'm super excited for that. That's the great news. And if you want to get into our X Royalty virtual conference, again, I'll be talking there. I'll be talking about Vipassana. I'll be talking about AI. I'll be talking about all the cool stuff that AI does. It's a virtual conference when you have one of our X Royalty tickets. If you don't know what that is, go check it out. CJV will be talking. I'll be talking. We're going to have some special guests. I think Caleb and Brown's going to be talking at that one. So I'm really excited for that. So make sure that you check that out. And if you're in America, you probably know that the whole thing's going to shit, up and down, volatile all over the place. And Scott Bessent, who's the United States Treasurer, he walked on stage at the largest gathering in months of Wall Street's champions of global trade, aiming to explain why President Donald Trump is putting up hurdles to global trade. And I'll give my opinion on this in a moment. Fingertips steepled, his eyes panning, the Treasury Secretary told a quiet crowd that tariffs, tax cuts, and deregulation are interlocking parts of an engine to boost America's clout, emphasizing it's all thoughtfully designed. He soon paused. I hope you can see the bigger picture now. The verdict came swiftly. Investing titans and financial leaders at the Milken Institute Global Conference in Beverly Hills lined up to say they can live with tariffs and a reworking of trade. Just get it settled soon. KKK & Co. co-founder Henry Kravis, Citigroup Inc. Chief Executive Officer Jan Fraser, and Carlyle Group Inc.'s Harvey Schwartz were among the chorus, warning that corporate leaders are rattled and in limbo while waiting to see how trade talks play out. That risks damaging the economy. What the administration wants to do is not wrong. Apollo Global Management Inc. CEO Mark Rowan, once a top contender for Bessent's post to top the Treasury, said in a Bloomberg television interview at the gathering on Monday, echoing this was last Monday. Maybe it was this Monday. It wasn't this Monday. It was not May 5th. This when this came out. This came out May 5th. Maybe it was last Monday. Maybe it was today. I'm just looking at this news article from Bloomberg. I love Bloomberg. Love Michael Bloomberg. I wish me and Michael Bloomberg were friends. What the administration wants to do is not wrong. I'll have my thoughts on that in a moment. But the chaos of recent weeks is hurting the U.S. reputation for stability, predictability, regularity, Rowan said. I see us moving from what was hyper exceptionalism to merely exceptional. At times, the conference offered a split screen of confidence and concern. On one side, Bessent emphasized that the U.S. is in a strong negotiation position, remains the premier destination for international capital, and will become an even more appealing environment for investors like you. So tariffs are tariffs, it's a tax. I'm not technically against tariffs. I think we need to have, I don't want people taking advantage of the United States. You all know I'm not a fan of Trump. But I think the tariffs could be, here's the thing. We need to do a few things. One, we need to have better control over a global system, right? If America is going to be the premier power in the world, and tariffs may allow us to do that. The thing is, though, is that I think Trump is all over the place with a lot of things. And I think that he's trying things. He's swinging. I think he's missing. China doesn't give a shit. If they have more tariffs, they'll play this. Again, China's been around a very long time. They're focused on their long-term vision. And I think our problem is that America's not on the same vision. I would say that most of the Americans are on a different vision than what Trump is on. I think that they're misguided on certain things that he says that's going to happen, and that allowed him to get more votes and win the presidency again. And so I think what we'll find is that a lot of the stuff works in certain countries. For some of the bigger countries, it's not going to work with. And I don't think that there will be a way to replace the taxes that we need from these tariffs. But I do believe that it will cause businesses to look at maybe doing certain things in America. The caveat to that, well, I think that that's great, and I think that we should do that and give jobs and pay them more, is that we're going to have to pay people more because Americans aren't going to work at the same labor rates as other third countries will, or second world countries and third world countries will. And because of that, our prices of goods are going to go up. Everything's going to become more inflationary, right? And we have a big problem with that. And that's one of the reasons why, and if you go to Coach JV's Instagram or his TikTok, he did a very good post about this of why everyone's running to Bitcoin and to gold to some extent as a deflationary reserve. Because of the fact that it is deflationary, we're going to pump money in the economy. We're going to turn on the printing press. Inflation is going to go, inflation is going to possibly happen again. That's going to try to lower those interest rates. Those interest rates are going to get lower over time, and our dollar is just going to become trash. It's all in Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. Go read it. Check it out. It's kind of a boring book, but it explains it all, and it's pretty much what's happening. But the point is that the tariffs are, I think, good right now in theory. And again, like I said, some of them are going to work. But I don't think Scott Bessent is really 100% pro him. I think he's going along with it because he's the treasurer. I think Trump has way too many yes men around him. He has way too many people that want to make sure that they get the opportunity to push their agenda forward, like Marco Rubio, who's going to start running, and probably he's going to start running for president probably about a year and a half, 2 years. He'll make an announcement that he's going to run for president again. And all these people are gearing up for their future. The fact is we need people that are wanting to go into running our state to help our state, or to help our country, in the case of us talking about the country. And we don't really have that. We have people that have their personal agendas. They have, in my opinion, a value set that I don't agree with. That doesn't mean that other Americans don't agree with it. And we can debate over that, and we can vote on it, and we can come to middle ground and kind of push things forward. But the fact is that right now, the economy's not doing really, really well. And I don't think that it's going to get better in the short term. But I do think that if you want to help protect yourself, there's a few things that you can do. I would put some of your money into Bitcoin. I would put some of your money into life insurance. And more importantly, I would set a plan up for your family and what's going to be best for you and how you can move your life forward. And so I know that the tariffs are crazy. The economy's going up and down, and we may not see the benefit that we think that we're going to see. And I think that what happened with the Milken conference is that it's seen that we're okay waiting for this to happen, but it has to happen fast because there's too much volatility and crazy right now, which means that it might push the president to stop these crazy trade wars. He might disagree. He might continue it. And in the long run, it may be, and by long run, I don't mean like 20, 30 years. I mean, in the long run, it may be that his presidency doesn't go very well. And if he can't get these wins, then people are going to look back on this as a failed presidency. And I think that he's going to start to see that if he doesn't start making wins with these trade talks, because the idea is to bring some of these people to the table to get trade much better for centrally Americans, and to make America stronger. And as of right now, it's not working. But if you go buy Bitcoin like they do and follow what the elites do, they're buying Bitcoin, they're buying gold, they're buying assets that are going to hold their currency, they're going to hold their value over time, right? And we are going to see them pump money into the economy, which is going to worsen the situation to drive those interest rates down, because we want everything right now. Debt's going to continue to skyrocket, and we're going to not be in a better position than we were when all of this started. And so what you can do, like I said, build a plan for you and your family, where you're going, put some money into Bitcoin, put some money into starting a reserve into something like Index Universal Life Insurance, where you can get protected from the floor with that volatility. And you also have life insurance associated with it, and see how you can move your life forward. Well, Instagram released a beta for Instagram edits. I was thinking it was going to be more like CapCut, but I don't use CapCut. So I'll be honest, I don't know if it's 100% like CapCut or not. But essentially, it's an editing tool where you can make your video inside of it. And I'm going to say the reason why I like it better than doing it inside of Instagram. The reason why I like doing it better is because sometimes I want to make longer filming, okay, utilizing something that's simple, doesn't take up a lot of space on my thing, has a very fast export feature, unlike, say, Adobe Rush, which in my opinion takes a little bit longer. And so Edits allows me to do that. So I can make a 7-minute long video of content, and maybe I can cut it down into 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, which if you do that inside of the editing feature inside of Instagram right now, the problem arises is that if you have it set for the 3 minutes, once you hit that 3-minute mark, you can't keep adding stuff to it because it's over the minutes. So this solves that problem, in my opinion, to make stuff work. And so you can organize it a little bit in here. You can keep drafts. You can record from the app itself. You can add the text. There's an inspiration page if you want to get to stuff you can record. And the other cool thing is you have stats to see how, those videos specifically did. And so I'm really liking this Edits thing. If you guys know, I'm a big fan of Instagram. I like trying stuff with Instagram. Some of the videos, the last couple of videos that I've made with Edits, there'll be a video that I'm posting today on my Instagram at Age of Jeremy that will have been done with edits from a video that I did before. And then I'm going to try to record another video about the inflationary environment of the of what's going on. The reason why is because if you want to really get your shit together, not to do a shameless plug and to be all come and buy our stuff, but if you go to 3twarrioracademy.com or you follow Coach JV at Coach JV_, you can see what I'm talking about. And we try to help people with all facets of their life. We have a whole system that we do, right, as it relates to cash flow, as it relates to investing, as it relates to how you can utilize depreciation, how you can utilize leverage. And so we have our whole pathway and our whole program inside of that. It's really important that people re-educate themselves around finances. When we talk about, education, I'm 100% fine with the schooling system. I think it's important to learn a lot of the stuff that they learn. I think that college is really great. I do think there has to be some more financial components that are built into what we're teaching, apart from just regular economics that we teach in high school. And I think that we need to do a better job of the financial piece for college students to make sure that they understand how investing works, and for them to understand all aspects of it so they can make those decisions. And so I'm hopefully to make a video later about that for the edits piece. But edits overall, I think has just been fantastic. You can go to collections. I have my collections of stuff that I've saved. I'm not 100% sure why that's in there. You can add stickers. I have my saved videos, probably if I want to use them, because I can use this audio. So if I can hit it to the camera right now, and so that's going to play here while I'm recording the podcast. So if I hit play, right. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I never got into CapCut, and the only reason why I get into CapCut is because I'm all about efficiency and time. I like the raw, authentic video. As I'm going into more thoughtful stuff, of course, I want other type of video that's going to be, created and more thoughtful and cutting it and editing it. But when it comes to the Instagram and the shorts, I don't have a problem just turning the bad boy on, talking, maybe doing some cuts and edits. The one thing that I do like about edits is, and I want to play around with it some more, is it does have a feature where you can get sound effects. So it'd be fun to do something where I'm specifically talking and playing around with the sound effects. But I think edits does a pretty good job. You can also speed stuff up. So if I wanted to I can zoom. I can zoom 1 time, 3 times, 5 times, up to 5 times inside of it. It saves the clips down at the bottom, and then you can discard them. You can cut them together. There's a retouch piece. I think there's green screen. You can change the background, so you can do the green screen in this as well, which I think is fantastic. I can probably add, how do I... So essentially, you can think of it like exactly how it works inside of Instagram. But again, the benefit of it is you can, in my opinion, you can do a bunch of cuts and then you can clip them all together. I think that the transitions, personally, I think they need to add the transitions that are inside of Instagram's regular editing software inside to Instagram edits. But other than that, I think that they have some really cool. There's like a shaky one that kind of shakes it and it changes. There's like the traditional like wheel clock. There's like swiping over. So I think that those are great, and I think that they did a good job with it. I think if people like it, I'm in a beta, so I don't know if everybody can go and download it now. I just got a notification to do a beta for it on my Instagram, so I recommend that you go check that out and see if there is a beta for you. But I would recommend trying it out, especially if you enjoy making like different types of videos with your phone. One of my dreams was just to make a whole short film, for like a 30-minute short film, just using the vertical on my phone. I think that would be really fun to do and cool to do. And I really like doing those types of things when I'm have the time to make a really intricate video. But again, most of the time it's all for convenience. And this has actually made it faster for me to make videos because I can go longer and then I can cut it up quicker. Because if I go like 3 minutes and 40 seconds, I can cut some of that off and shrink that bad boy down. So try Instagram edits. Let me know what you think of it. You can reach out to me on X. You can reach out to me on Instagram. Again, Age of Jeremy Q on X and Age of Jeremy on Instagram. And I would love to hear what your thoughts are. All right. I made a post a while ago, maybe last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't know, 2 weeks ago now, where I talked about getting to a specific amount of hours working a week. And so one of my biggest problems being an entrepreneur, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs deal with this, is just working all the time. I think it's really easy to become a workaholic. And when I say workaholic, I mean a couple of things by it. One, always feeling that you have to be doing something that's productive. That's a workaholic also. Working on stuff all the time, working on your businesses nonstop, not making time for yourself, not resting, not staying creative, being innovative, looking at making new things in the world. That's all being a workaholic. And I think that it's important to realize that there's only a certain amount of hours that we can really be productive. And I think that research does a really good job at this, coming up that it's really between 50 and 60 hours that it means to be really, really productive. And if you are 50 to 60 hours a week, after we hit that 55-hour mark, our efficiency and knowledge work goes down. But what that does mean, though, is that if you do want to work after that or towards the end of those hours when your efficiency during the week is going down, you just want to do the remedial tasks, right? If you're doing a remedial task over and over, you don't have to have the knowledge capacity in it, and it won't be as exhausting. And you can be a little bit less efficient in it in the sense of doing the activity than that's required possibly in something like knowledge work, and which is what, a lot of business owners do, is a lot of knowledge work along with a lot of remedial tasks, or maybe some even physical labor along with that depending on what their business is. So it's kind of important to realize that, if you really want to be super productive, you would try to maximize what you're doing in a 50 to 60 hour week if you take into the account that you want to work more. Like, I believe that if you work more, you're going to be more productive than other people. I can prove that for the mere fact that I've been working, when we started this, 16, 17, 18 hours a day, still, working some weeks, still 16 hours a day, 15 hours a day, trying to do a lot of things, start new things, organizing things, doing stuff, right? And because of that, you're adding on more work weeks in the year. If you add 2 hours a day, if you work 50 hours a week, you're adding a whole nother work week that you did on the back end of the year. And it can be these little incremental things that, if you're efficient, can have a really big impact on what you're doing. So the amount of time that we are working is really important, but it's also about being efficient in doing what it is that you're doing in that time, not to work for working's sake. And so that has to be coupled with you planning and doing things that are super, super, super beneficial to moving the needle forward. And that's why with meetings, sometimes I get frustrated. And so it's kind of like reframing it, that some of the meetings we need to have so that we can move those things forward. And so if you're stuck in, like I've been stuck in, this mindset of having to do meetings, like I fucking hate meetings, can't someone else do this? Well, unfortunately, no one else can do it because I have to be the catalyst for certain things that we're doing in our businesses, just like CJV has to be a catalyst, just like May has to be a catalyst in certain things. And from that manager standpoint or that project management standpoint and getting these things to the next level, unfortunately, you have to do meetings, and you also have to reframe sometimes when there's things that you don't like. And then make sure that when you're doing them, that you're making them as efficient as possible. So you can really make a very, very strong argument that if you work 50 to 60 hours a week, you're going to be wealthier than everybody and you're going to be ahead of everybody. You could still kind of make the argument if you go above that, this will still happen, but the rate at which it works gets lower as you go over that 55-hour mark. So if we're only working 50 to 60 hours a week, that's going to be the best place to be doing it. And so the reason why that's important, the reason why I want to start off this podcast with this is because you have to be innovative and you have to put in a lot of work and grind, and we have to be efficient with that. And as entrepreneurs, I see a lot of entrepreneurs that aren't innovating. I see a lot of entrepreneurs that aren't moving themselves to the next step. And maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they do want to do that. Maybe they're just looking for profit. That's fine. That's not what I'm looking for. And I'm sharing this with you because this is kind of like what I'm doing and what I'm working on. And that's why I do this type of podcast or this part of the podcast. And so the biggest thing that I've been running into is not being innovative in the things that I'm trying to do. And so I am essentially have been grinding without innovation, which is very similar to grinding without innovation equals running in place. And so if you're putting in a lot of work, but you're not innovating and you're not trying new things, whether those are in your current business or in a different business, then you're really not doing anything. And that's why it's very important to be mindful about what you are doing with the time and that you're putting that into really efficient manners. And that's been one of the biggest things that I have changed over the last probably the last month managing my time is that, okay, I'm not going to try to work 80 hours. I'm going to try to stick between 50 and 60 hours, 50 and 55 hours really. And I'm going to be much more mindful of what I'm specifically doing. Like this podcast, has been inefficient. I'm just being honest. It's been inefficient doing this podcast for a couple of reasons. One, I need to figure out my interview strategy because I love doing interviews. I like interviewing people. And I want to help those people that I interview grow or to get really good stories from them and have really good interviews with them. But I don't have a set time of when I do my podcast. So if I don't have a set time to do my podcast, I could be working on something that's stupid where I could be doing this, which is much more efficient, and working on making this better and innovating the Age of Jeremy podcast to make it better. And so I recently started innovating on Age of Radio, and it's been doing a lot better. And Age of Radio is the business that I have that's a media company, a podcast company. You can check all the podcasts out at ageofradio.com. So that's the first thing is cut back on the hours that you're working, and you will find that you can be more efficient in those hours. And that's one of the biggest things that I did. So my goal is to work between 9 to 10 hours every day, do my podcast and my interview and some remedial tasks on the weekends, and then pepper in the rest of the stuff throughout, the week that needs to be done. It kind of goes back to like putting in the big things first, being really mindful on a Sunday night. What are the big ass things that you need to get done this week? This is one of them. The setting up the interviews with the people that I want to interview is the second one. Coming with those interview questions, have that stuff blocked down, timed, blocked in every single week, and you will do it. CJV does a really great job with that with the podcast. He does it every single Sunday for the most part for the entire week, or he does 3 and then he does 2 on say Monday morning or Tuesday morning. Right. And that's why he's been able to stay so consistent. And I do them roughly. I either edit them all if I have them all on a Sunday, but lately I've been doing them throughout the week because we've been having a lot of stuff going on. So that's the first thing. Just stop running, take an assessment of what you're actually doing, how long you're actually working, and what you're getting done. If you're able to do that, then you can start ramping up the time and you can start planning and being more efficient, because effort without direction leads to burnout and it leads to a lot of irrelevance. There's no one should ever be tired from working. We should be getting enough sleep. We should be getting enough spiritual hygiene. We should be getting enough mental hygiene. And I'm on a kick with spiritual hygiene, so you'll probably hear me say that a lot. But if we do those things, then that 50 to 60 hours, we can be badass in those 50 or 60 hours. And that's really where my efficiency is going. Okay. And I'll tell you here, let me mention a few other things, and then I can tell you some of the things that I'm doing also. So once you do that, then you have to make sure that you're grinding for that specific purpose. And that's where the efficiency specifically comes in. So what I have been doing is I've been keeping a KPI of all my personal KPIs to get me to be a better person. And I took a pull back on that for many, many years because I felt that it was over, like, I'm kind of a douchebag because I'm tracking all of this data and I'm possibly acting, like I'm better than you. But again, that was me being a douchebag. Not that I needed to stop collecting any of the information. So now I'm tracking my sleep. I'm tracking my calories. I've been doing it for a month, tracking sleep, calories, how I'm working out, my workout regimen, what my goals are for those workouts a lot, my language workouts, been getting back into the personal help stuff, back into the spiritual help, started putting a budget every month towards what I wanted to go towards health and wellness and spirituality. And that has really been making me much better at my businesses because I'm taking the time to make me a better human, to make me, I just saw Thunderbolts, to make me like the Century Project. And so the goal is to master that. And then we can really hardcore boil down the purpose of what we want to do with our business and be much more efficient. So the next thing is you have to stay creative. And if you're not setting time aside for the things that you are wanting to be creative in, right? And it doesn't have to be all work related. Like one of the things that I've come to a really big realization of over the last year, talking to a friend of mine on a regular basis, is that look, when I come up with a new idea, I have to go hardcore. It's my personality. I have a weird, addictive, crazy personality where I find something and I have to research it and study it and it becomes my entire fucking existence. Okay. But the thing is, I'm really good at writing. I really enjoy poetry. My craft doesn't have to be learning how to paint. My craft could be doing better at writing. My supplementary craft could be maybe painting, maybe learning watercolor, maybe being, learning another art form. But if we're looking at the skills and the craft that I actually do, writing, music, poetry, lyrics, is my craft. So if you can have something like that where you can be creative in, you need to set that time for that, because what that does is when you spend time on your creative hygiene, on your creativity side, on your creative side, that's going to open up your creativeness as a business. And that's going to keep you innovating. And when you can innovate and you can stay disciplined when you're innovating during your hard grind, during that 50 to 60 hours a week, then you're going to become fucking unstoppable. And you're going to be able to come up with so many businesses. Some are going to fail. Some of them are going to do good. And then you can build that life you want. Maybe that's for money. For me, it's not for money. For me, it's for money to do resources and to build other stuff and to get my friends to be a part of this and have these other people in my life doing badass shit. So yes, it's kind of about money in that same sense, but the goal is to solve stuff for humanity, solve things and make them better for the world and to make it better for the people that are in my life. And so if you are not innovating and you are not staying with your creativity, which is the catalyst for that innovation, then you are not going to grow. So some of the things that you could also do is morning journaling. Deep work. You could look at strategy, journaling. You could look at coding in the morning. You could have in the afternoon. It could be all. Sorry. So from a creative standpoint, you can do a few. Let me back up for a second. So for a creative standpoint, there's some things that you can do. Find the things that you love doing that are creative, and schedule time throughout your life to make sure that you're doing them. So if that means on Wednesdays, and it doesn't have to be daily, it can be loose. It can be on the third Thursday of the month. I'm going to sit and I'm going to write. Again, that's why planning is so important, and being able to understand your Outlook calendar and your Mac calendar and living by it and living by that calendar, you will be freer if you do that, even though it feels at first that it's like a constraint. But if you have a scheduled time to play, say, Dungeons and Dragons with your friends, if you have a scheduled time to go and a walk in a park, if you have a scheduled time to write, to work on poetry, to read poetry, it doesn't have to be this crazy thing where it happens every single day. But if you have that built into your life, then you can make time to keep up with that creative hygiene. Maybe you wake up in the morning and you do morning pages twice a week, where you just write creatively, or you journal every night, right? It can be lots of things, but the goal is to make time for it. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can create a good grind structure throughout the day. I have lots of businesses. I get pulled into lots of meetings. If you don't have that, you could structure your day out where it's focusing on the things that are important. I would say if you're just getting going, the most important things that you should do for your business are revenue building activities, right? Like here in this example that I have here written down, you in the morning, you could do deep work. You could do strategy journaling. You could do coding. I would not do that if I didn't have enough money to pay the bills, or if I was just getting it out. I would have that set strategy time maybe on the weekend. During the weekdays, I would be calling all the people that have, if I was doing B2B sales, I would be calling businesses all day. I would be calling, prospects all day. I would be doing a lot of lead generation throughout the day. I would make that 5 hours of my day, right? And then 3 hours doing maybe some execution stuff, maybe some of their learning stuff throughout the day, if you scheduled in like an 8 to 10 hour session. So you need to block up that time. Again, depending on where you're at and what level you're at, you might have 1,000 meetings throughout the week. Sometimes like I do. We've pulled back a lot on that, which I'm very grateful for. And I shouldn't be so harsh on it, because it's really great now. And that's why I've been able to spend the time doing this. But you need to track that time that you're spending on these things to be able to look, okay, am I doing something important, or am I doing something shitty? And as those sales start to come in, then you can hire people to help with some of those things. And then you can move to doing more of those execution, more of that strategy building stuff for the work that you're specifically doing, or even separate to have innovation into it. Even if you are getting going and you're spending like 5 hours on prospecting and selling, and then 3 hours on other business operations stuff throughout the day, or another 5 hours on business stuff operations throughout the day, sometime during the week, you should work on innovating stuff for your business. If you don't give it time, then it doesn't happen. That's why businesses have research and development, or learning and research and development, R&D. Your business, no matter what size you are, should have an R&D segment. If it's just you and 2 other people in the business, the 3 of you should meet every other month, talk about research and development, task stuff off to people to be working on until the next time, and some slow little hour pockets throughout the week, and come back and then slowly build that, because that's how you're going to stay innovative. And what's going to help you continue to be innovative in that way is by doing the other creative things throughout the rest of your regular life that's apart from your business. Like in my case, the poetry, the writing, the making music, the lyricism, the artsy Libra Venetian stuff that I like. Okay. And so again, you want to make sure that you're doing activities that spark innovation. I've mentioned a few here. I mentioned, for me, you can do micro experiments weekly. You could do tests about things that you enjoy doing. Try something new. Maybe you do like it. Maybe you don't have hobbies. Like I tend to think that everybody has all the creativity like bottled up inside of them, and they enjoy creativity stuff and they just don't get to do it. And then that's why I'm trying to do more of it, because I love it all. It's not the case. Some people, they may not have those types of hobbies, but I really strongly recommend that you work to spend time in your hobbies. And whether you think that they're creative or not, my guess is that they do require some type of creativity juices, or at the least it's doing something that you enjoy apart from the rest of the work that you're doing, and that you can benefit from that and utilize that to create innovation in your business. Okay. And so again, the reason why burnout happens, and this is to stop burnout. This my goal isn't to stop burnout. My goal is to make sure that with my businesses and my entrepreneurial journey, I am not creating the same type of atmosphere that I would have had if I was in corporate America. If I'm doing the same thing day in and day out, not nurturing, not taking to my spiritual hygiene, my creative hygiene, my music hygiene, the me time, that type of stuff, then all I'm doing is I'm replacing my job that I had with a job that I own that I make a lot more money for, which is technically kind of fine in the sense that you're still taking that money and working for your money, and not having where you are not living to work, you're working to live. whether you are an entrepreneur or not. And the other thing that happens is if you're aimlessly going and you're not having a real purpose, you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? Then you do get to burnout. And the problem with burnout, and the reason why I hate it so much, is the biggest key for burnout is the lack of empathy. When you find someone that you're working with and they seem to be working a lot, and then they tend to not be compassionate for anything that's going on, that probably means that they have burnout, especially if they were very empathetic before. And then over time, as they worked more, they became less empathetic. Because what happens is when we're burnt out, it means we don't have any time for ourselves. And when we don't have any time for ourselves and we don't give a fuck about anybody else, and that's where the compassion goes away and the empathy goes away, right? So burnout comes from aimlessness. It doesn't come from not just overworking. It comes from overworking and from not having a purpose. And when you don't have a purpose, then you're like, I don't give a fuck about other people, and your empathy goes down and your compassion goes away. Purpose and rhythm protect your mental energy. So a lot of times this is something that happens a lot. Especially when you're coaching people. A lot of you probably don't believe in magic. Maybe you guys believe in Jesus. Maybe you like prayer. Maybe prayer's the magic that you use. People are gonna be like, prayer's not magic. Prayer's just magic. And so when you pray and you're like, Lord Jesus, please watch over us. Please allow the people that are having communications with me to not allow their energy to seep into my energy. Give me the protection that I need to block out that energy, that negative energy, to make me positive, so that I can be disciplined and focus on the things that I do. In your name, amen. Right. So that's an incantation. Okay. No matter how you look at it, I don't know how else to explain that to people. But that's okay. So what I'm saying is, whether you're a Christian, or whether you believe in Muhammad, or you follow Muhammad, or you're a Sufi, or you're a mystic, or you praise Satan, or whatever the case is, ask whatever it is, or do some magic to help protect you from the energy that gets sucked out of you from all the other things that happen. Because we take pieces of that energy and it fucks with our chakras, it fucks with our aura. And most people who don't believe in that stuff, which is fine, I don't give a shit about that. If it works, it works. And people need to do it, or should do it. I do it. People that believe in it should do it, is what I'm saying. If you don't believe in it, I'm just telling you, I'm going to share my thoughts on it, is that your aura gets clouded and all that energy sticks to it. And so what that ends up doing is it makes it harder for us to stay focused on the things that are important to us, because we have their energy sucking from our aura. And so that doesn't mean that you don't want to help these people. That's one of the things that I hear all the time. Everybody's like, and it's not wrong, but it's right because of this, is that you are the 5 people that you most hang around with. And because we don't use amulets, because we don't do protection spells on ourselves, because we don't pray in that capacity, right, for that protection over that, still a protection spell, we end up becoming those people. If you just prayed about it, or you did a protection spell, those people would either not bother you, or they would somehow kind of move away out of your life. Okay. And so because of that, their energy sticks to us, their energy, we absorb it, and then it causes us to be in a different capacity in what we're specifically doing. So make sure that if you are around a lot of people that have a lot of that negative energy, either get a spell, pray, whatever the case is, so that doesn't stick to you, because that stuff can cause a lot of burnout with them feeding off of your energy. Okay. And then make blocked time one of the most important things. A lot of the things that have led to me for burnout personally, or to get exhausted where I'm like, kind of like, fuck this, is that is when you're getting pulled in different directions because you don't have blocked time to get the stuff done that you need to get done. So a lot of the stuff that I've wanted to get done, that I've been doing to get done over April, I've just been blocking it on my calendar. No one can put anything on it. And when they're like, hey, can I jump on your calendar? No, you can't, because I'm doing this other thing. It's frustrating for other people, but it does make my life better because I can get these other things done because those things are blocked out. If you're not blocking those out and other people are taking your time, then that gets frustrating. And then that can lead to that feeling of overworking or aimlessness or not being able to get the stuff that you want to get done, even though it's work stuff, right? And then that is one of the things. Like, a lot of people have been trying to get me to do meetings in the evenings. I don't do meetings in the evenings. I'm sorry, it's too late. That's my time. That is what it is. You have to have those specific boundaries. And if people are going to want to work with you, they either need to meet you in the middle, or they need to meet you based off of the boundary that you specifically have. Like, I'm not opposed to meeting people in the middle. If someone can't meet till late at night, then hey, you know what? Let's do it on Saturday. If you can't do it on Saturday, okay, I'll move it up a little bit, but you have to move it up to maybe a little bit too, or get as close to the time that I want. Okay. And that's really, really important. I had a person that called me at 8 o'clock tonight. I told them, I was like, hey, I don't do calls after 8 o'clock for business. I'm sorry. They're like, oh, no, that's cool. Right. So you will find that it's not as bad as you think it is, because people understand that, and a lot of people respect that. And when you do that and you can make that plan time, then you do not go to that burnout. Okay. So again, to recap a few things. One, you need to stay innovative as a business owner. And you also need to work the more work that you do, the better that you will, the further that you will get. The problem that arises with that is when we work too much, or we work towards things that aren't efficient. One of the things that make some of those things not efficient is because we are not being innovative. We are not being creative. We're not giving ourselves our time back to ourselves to make ourselves better. So if you do those things, you get really good at blocking time. You only work that 50 to 60 hours a week, make time for yourself, continue on the most important things for your business, and you're staying creative and innovative and making time for that, then you will be super, super successful. So keep innovating, keep grinding. And as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Age of Jeremy. These are my business adventures and side quests. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, please leave a review on wherever you're listening to it at. Make sure that you subscribe to it. The opening song was Can't Be Cool Forever by Medium Build. The closing song is Mutable by Spanish Love Songs. I'm recording into a Neumann microphone, recording through my Zoom L8 into Steinberg's Cubase, and I will use waves in post. And with that, one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll see you soon. Bye.